My wife texted, "I'm not checking in anymore." I just replied, "Understood." Big mistake on her part. The text came at 9:47 p.m. I was washing dishes when my phone lit up on the counter. Claire's message said only, "I'm not checking in anymore." No reason. No question mark. Just a flat sentence, like a door closing softly but firmly. I stood there, water still running, staring at the screen. My first thought was to call her right away and ask what she meant. Instead, I dried my hands, picked up the phone, and typed back one word, "Understood." I hit send before I could change my mind, and something inside me went very still. For the past 2 months, Claire had been different. She laughed less at home but more on her phone. She started taking calls in the bathroom, door locked, water running so I couldn't hear. I told myself it was work stress. She had a big project, new coworkers, long hours. I wanted to believe the simple explanation because the other one scared me too much to face. But after that text, I couldn't pretend anymore. Something in me shifted from hoping to watching. I decided I wouldn't ask questions out loud. I would just pay attention. That week, small things started to stand out. Claire changed her phone password and turned it face down every time she set it on the table. She showered the moment she walked in the door. Even on days she said she barely left her desk. Once, a notification popped up on our shared tablet, a restaurant reservation for 2. On a night she told me she was working late. I didn't say anything. I just remembered the date, the time, and the name of the restaurant, and I kept it folded away in my mind like a card I wasn't ready to play yet. Then Claire announced a weekend trip with her college friends. She packed a small bag but brought her nicest clothes. At the door, she kissed my cheek and said, "I'll text you when I land." I smiled and told her to have fun. As soon as her car disappeared down the street, my calm broke apart. This wasn't nerves anymore. This was certainty, cold and sharp. I picked up my phone and called the one person who might slip up without meaning to. Her closest friend, Priya, who always talked before she thought things through. Priya answered cheerfully, thinking I just wanted to say hello. I asked when the girls were all landing. There was a pause, then confusion in her voice. "What trip?" she asked. My stomach dropped straight through the floor. There was no trip. There never had been one. I thanked her quickly and hung up before my voice could crack. I sat on the edge of our bed for a long time, not crying, not shouting, just breathing. Somewhere between disbelief and heartbreak, a quiet decision formed. I was going to find out the truth myself tonight. I remembered the location-sharing app we'd installed years ago, back when we trusted each other completely. Claire had forgotten it was still active on her phone. I opened it with shaking hands. Her dot blinked steadily at a small lake house 2 hours away, a property that belonged to Marcus, a man from her office I'd met once at a holiday party. He'd shaken my hand a little too long that night. I hadn't thought about it since. Now his name felt like a splinter under my skin. Impossible to ignore. I didn't rush out the door in anger. I sat in my car in the driveway for 10 full minutes, gripping the steering wheel, forcing my hands to stop shaking before I turned the key. The drive felt long and strangely quiet, just headlights and empty road. I kept thinking about that text, "I'm not checking in anymore," and how it hadn't been a warning at all. It had been permission she was giving herself. I wasn't driving there to scream. I was driving there because I needed to see the truth with my own eyes. The lake house had one light on upstairs. Claire's car sat crooked in the gravel driveway, like she'd parked in a hurry. I knocked twice. Marcus opened the door, and his face went pale the instant he saw me standing there. Behind him, Claire's voice called out, light and unaware, "Who is it, babe?" Then she stepped into view, wrapped in a robe I didn't recognize, and every trace of color drained from her face. Nobody spoke. The silence between us said more than any argument ever could have. I didn't raise my voice. I looked at Claire and said quietly, "You told me you weren't checking in anymore. I guess this is what you meant." She opened her mouth, searching for something, anything to say. Words came out broken. "It's not what it looks like. Then, I was going to tell you. Then nothing at all." I didn't need her explanations. I had already seen everything I needed to see. I turned around, walked back to my car, and drove home alone, leaving both of them standing in that doorway. Over the next few days, Claire called again and again, sending long messages full of apologies and reasons. I answered the same way every time. Short, calm, controlled. Understood. I typed back to her first message. Understood. Again to the next one. She used to think that word meant I was easy to control, easy to keep in the dark. Now it meant something else entirely. It meant I had stopped needing her explanations. It meant I was building distance of my own, quietly, the same way she had built her secrets for months without telling me. The following week, I met with a lawyer, not out of anger, but because I needed to protect myself and think clearly about what came next. I brought the location records, the fake restaurant reservation, the timeline of small lies that had added up to one big one. Friends later asked why I hadn't confronted her the moment I suspected something. I told them the truth. Staying quiet gave me clarity instead of chaos. It let me leave with proof and dignity, instead of walking away with only guesses and a broken heart. Claire eventually admitted everything had started months before that first cold text, long before I ever suspected a thing. She said she assumed I was too trusting to ever check, too calm to ever really look. That was her biggest mistake. My silence was never surrender. It was patience, quietly gathering the truth while she believed I noticed nothing at all. She had mistaken my calm for weakness, and by the time she understood otherwise, there was nothing left for her to fix or take back. Now I live in a smaller place, but the air feels lighter here than it ever did in our old house. I don't regret sending that one-word reply. It gave me time to think clearly instead of reacting in panic. Claire wanted freedom without honesty, and in the end, she got consequences instead of comfort. I learned something important through all of it. Silence isn't always weakness or defeat. Sometimes it's strategy. And sometimes, the calmest word you type back is exactly what quietly seals someone's biggest mistake.